Hi, the internet. Welcome to the What Else Show. I'm your host, Robert. This is Bethany.
Hi, internet.
And today we've got a brand new What Else show for you. Bethany, what else are we talking about today?
Today we have a movie review, which we have not done in a while.
That's true. We haven't done it in a while. And today we are reviewing
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice in preparation for the new movie coming out, Beetlejuice. We're reviewing the original.
The OG Beetlejuice.
This review will contain spoilers. Bethany, when did this movie come out?
1988.
It came out in 1988. So, I mean...
Definitely going to have some spoilers if you haven't seen it by now. So...
The funny thing is like maybe people are like, oh, I was just about to watch that because the new movie's coming out. I'm sorry.
It's up for grabs. It's from 1988.
Okay, Bethany, give us some details about this Beetlejuice movie. Then we'll talk a little bit about how we like it. And then we'll talk a little bit about the entire plot of the movie.
Yes.
And then we'll finish off after that.
Yes. All right. So the original Beetlejuice starred Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, and of course Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. And it had a 93-minute runtime, directed by Tim Burton, and notably, the score by Danny Elfman.
Yeah, there's a few things in there. The score kind of makes the movie.
Yes. The score is awesome.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
And
the soundtrack itself too.
It's really short.
Yeah, 93 minutes it's very very short, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say we liked it or not.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I thought maybe it was going to be like too goofy and weird and old to watch again, but I think it really holds up.
It holds up. Yes.
Yeah.
It holds up. I loved the score. I loved the soundtrack. I forgot how much I love this movie. I practically have this movie memorized.
Okay.
So if there's anything from the plot you can't remember, I can probably fill it in.
So go ahead, Bethany. Tell us what happens in this movie. How does it start?
So the movie starts, you get the opening credits, and the song starts. Pretty unmistakable song. It's really fun. And then we meet Gina Davis.
We're panning over a model of the town that they live in. We don't know it's a model yet because it looks just kind of like a real town.
Yes. It's a scale model. And then we realize it's a model when a spider crawls over the top of...
That's true.
...of one of the buildings.
That's true.
Yes. And then we see Alec Baldwin pick up the spider, and then we know, like, oh, it's a model. So Alec Baldwin, who plays Adam Maitland, and Gina Davis plays Barbara Maitland, they are having a conversation about everything that they need to do to the house while they're on vacation. They're taking a staycation.
And are they newlyweds, or have they been married a while?
They've been married for a while.
But they're just moving into this new house.
No, I think I got the impression that they've lived there for a while.
Okay.
And now they're really working on remodeling.
Okay.
They're working on various remodeling projects during their vacation. So they're having this conversation about the things that they're going to get done during their vacation. They exchange some vacation remodeling gifts. We learn that the model of the town is Adam's that he's building. Eventually, they go to the hardware store that they own.
Right. They go to the hardware store that they own. Mm-hmm. He tells her, let's go into town. Let's go to the hardware store so I can pick up a few things for the house and also the model, or just the model? The model.
Yeah, he's trying to pick up...
Doesn't it seem weird that they own the hardware store, but they're just barely getting around to doing the remodels on the house?
They don't really
seems weird to me.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, they own a hardware store, and their house needs all kinds of work. Yeah. On the way back, she very nearly hits the dog, slams on the brakes, and they have a car accident because she's trying to avoid hitting said dog. They have the car accident. The dog is standing on a board and basically keeping their car from falling into a river. And because they're on a covered bridge, and the dog walks away and the car falls in the river.
They drown. Oh wait, we don't know that yet. They crash the car.
The car.
Car falls in the water. They get home.
Yes.
Things seem odd. They can't remember how they get home. They go to the fire and they're like, we didn't leave the fire on. And they figure out, they're thinking like, I don't think we survived that car accident. And then they find a book that's, what's the book?
Handbook for the Recently Deceased.
Handbook for the Recently Deceased. I'm thinking maybe they only have the handbook for the recently deceased. They don't have one for like the handbook for people that have been dead a long time or those ones, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's
'Cause they
different
know
levels
what's
of
going on.
deceasedness. I think you're just deceased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens after that?
Okay, so they're trying to read through the handbook. They don't understand what's going on. They're trying to make sense of their new surroundings. And during them trying to figure out what's up with the handbook, a family arrives.
Yes.
And
Catherine O'Hara's family.
Catherine O'Hara's, the Dietzes arrive. So we've got Delia, Charles, and Lydia. Their interior decorator, I guess, Otho, is there. So basically, they realize that this family bought their house because they are deceased. So they really don't own their house anymore. So they finally get to a spot in the book where they figure out how to ask for help. So they basically venture into, I don't know, would you call it the underworld?
I would call it the underworld.
The
Sure.
underworld. They venture into the underworld to seek help. So there's a few things that they learn. They learn that time for them is going, like it feels normal, but in the world of the living, it's going by a little bit faster because
Right.
they're only in the underworld.
Well, is that how the time works? Because I remember when
or is it only the underworld?
There was a situation, we're backtracking a little bit. There was a situation where Alec Baldwin tried to walk outside and he couldn't walk outside because there was sand everywhere and a worm almost got him. And then Gina Davis pulled him back inside. For him, it seemed like he was gone in like 5 minutes. And for her, he was gone 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
time moves differently for different places in this situation.
Yes. So kind of important to keep that in mind. So by the time they're done speaking with their caseworker, Juno, thank you, Juno. So they get back to the world of the living, and their house is completely different because Delia and not Charles, but Delia and Otho have completely like redecorated the house, which is exactly what they didn't want because they didn't want these people taking over their house.
Right.
The day that the family moved in, we're gonna have to backtrack because I missed a plot point.
You're missing everything.
I'm
Bethany.
missing everything.
The day they moved in, they were trying to scare them away, but they couldn't because the living people. It says the living people won't see the dead.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Which is
that won't see the dead. But the day that they moved in, Lydia saw them.
Yes.
So the daughter sees them. So then they sort of, so that's kind of like a common thread through the entire movie is that Lydia can see them. Nobody else really can.
Right. Lydia can see them because she's all goth and emo.
Yes, she's strange and unusual is how they put it.
Goth emo nerd.
Goth. Yes. Yeah, Lydia's pretty goth. So they're trying to scare this family away and it doesn't work because then they realize that like, oh yeah, none of them can see us. But they have a confrontation with Lydia in the hallway one night when they're wearing sheets and trying to scare away, Delia. Delia's out, like
She takes Valium to sleep.
She takes a Valium to sleep and really has no idea what's going on. So she takes photos of them in the hallway, Lydia does, and Lydia realizes that there's no feet, and then she realizes that they're ghosts. And she can see them and talk to them because of that whole, like, strange and unusual, those characteristics. So they're really frustrated with this family that's in their house, and that leads to this sense of desperation that they're trying to get help. Their caseworker isn't really helping. The caseworker wants them to get the family out of the house because Lydia took photos of them. The underworld is supposed to be a secret. Otho got his hands on the handbook. There's just things going on that are putting the entire underworld's existence, I guess, at risk. And Juno had tried to talk them out of getting help from Beetlejuice. They're not getting help really from anywhere else.
So they turned to Beetlejuice. We didn't mention Beetlejuice. There was like a card or something that fell out of the handbook, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how they even know of Beetlejuice in the first place.
That's how they even know of him. So, so he has like a business card.
I don't understand. This is what I don't understand about the movie. Beetlejuice is like banished?
Yes, it seems like he's banished, but he can manipulate the physical world.
Right.
So he lives in Adam's model, and he's like manipulating the physical world from within Adam's model.
Right. So he has to be summoned
Yes.
by saying his name 3 times.
Yes.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to say it the 3rd time. But he's like banished, right?
Yeah.
He's like in trouble or something. I don't know. They're not real clear about it in the movie.
Yes. He was Juno's assistant, and she said that he was too overzealous, and she didn't approve of his methods or whatever. So he was banished, and he moved into Adam's model at some point in time. It's not clear when. We're not sure how long he's been there. Probably a while. And so they go to him for help.
Right.
And he steps in, and he does end up scaring Delia and Charles.
Right. They
Lydia.
meet Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice, and he's kind of like a rough around the edges, kind of pervy, kind of kind of no good Nick.
He's really weird. He's super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think was the point, right? Like,
crude, I would say.
Very crude.
Crass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not somebody that you would want to just hang out with. Yeah, he's real annoying.
And he's very annoying.
He's very annoying.
And they get him to help, and he goes and helps them. He scares the family. What happens? I don't remember.
He scares the family, and they have now proof that there is a ghost in the house. And with the photos and the handbook, they were able to convince Charles's boss and his wife to come and visit the ghosts. So what they wanted to do was have the ghosts appear before these people. They're trying to make revenue off of having ghosts in the house. So that's what they're trying to do.
You missed that part. There was a whole dance number that Bethany didn't mention. She knows the story so well.
Sorry.
Anyways,
I feel like everybody knows about the dance number, but so what happens is Adam and Barbara do their own thing to try to scare the people out of the house, and it's the dance number. So that's Adam and Barbara trying to scare these people off, and it backfires because
that's why they get Beetlejuice.
That's why they ended up getting Beetlejuice.
Because the family wants, that was so fun, the dance number and stuff. We want to meet these ghosts, and we want to turn this town into like a ghost. Yes. Not a ghost town, that's an empty town, but like a town that...
like an amusement attraction. They want to turn it into a tourist attraction.
Right.
And so they invite Charles's boss then after that.
Beetlejuice helps, but he goes a little too far and he hurts some people. And Delia?
Yes.
No.
The mom?
The little girl?
Lydia
doesn't care for that, and she's mad at them. And then Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin are like, oh, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to hurt her. I want to hang out with her. She seems cool, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, what happens next?
So they went back to the underworld, got some advice from Juno. They kind of laid out a plan of how they're going to scare the people off. And Lydia was trying to explain to them what was about to happen, right? That they're trying to turn it into a tourist attraction. And they want you to come downstairs. So Barbara and Adam refused to go downstairs. And the whole entire thing started when Otho decided to take it upon himself to summon them. And so that's kind of when things started to go sideways.
Right. The dad of the family has like an investor showing up at the house, and they're like, where are these ghosts? And Lydia's like, they're not going to come down. And then Otho's like, I can make them come down. So he tries to summon them, but he's actually exorcising them.
Yes.
Yeah. So they show up and they start to get like real old and like dying, like dying for the dead. They consider an exorcised ghost. And then Lydia goes to get Beetlejuice's help.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she summons him.
Right.
And
in return, Beetlejuice wants to marry Lydia.
Yes.
And Lydia says, yeah, sure, that's fine. Just help them. But after he goes back and helps them, she's like, no, I don't want to get married. How dare she? You know what I mean? She's supposed to be the protagonist.
Knew the terms.
She's supposed to be the protagonist, and she's going back on her word. Yeah. Not cool, bro.
Yeah, not cool. She agreed. Yep, that's kind of a plot hole, right? She knew what she was getting into.
Yeah.
She knew he was a jerk. She knew,
Beetlejuice shows up and helps.
Yes. saves them.
He saves them, right?
He saves them.
He held up his part of the deal.
He did hold up his end of the bargain.
If he wants to have a child bride, I mean, I feel like it was the agreement.
Yep. That's what they agreed to. Yeah, because, she's clearly very young.
And she doesn't want to get married, and Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis help stop this wedding.
Yes.
And the only thing they have to do to banish him back is say his name 3 times again, right?
Yes.
And he's trying to prevent that. There's like some action stuff going on, comedy, whatever.
Yeah.
And in the end, they do end up banishing Beetlejuice back to the model.
Yes.
And after that, the family and the Dietzes and the, what is it? Maitlands decide, this like happens off screen, they like decide that they can live with each other in the house. I'm not sure what the living arrangement is, because in the last scene we've got Lydia coming back from school and they're talking about how she did on her tests, and they're in the house, but also Lydia's parents are in the house.
Yes.
So I don't know where everybody lives.
And Barbara and Adam are in an area of the house that has been and is in the process of being restored to what it was originally before the Dietzes moved in. So it seems like they were given probably like certain areas of the house that would just be theirs.
Yeah.
And it seems like they have a really great relationship with Lydia because they're like having some fun with her. And Delia is an artist. She's a sculptor. And so she makes this sculpture of Beetlejuice. So it seems like her creativity and like she's getting better as an artist because of all of it. So it kind of seemed like a fun way to kind of like tie up all the loose ends. And the last scene is really fun. It's like a little dance
Another dance number to
Lydia.
more calypso music.
Yeah. So Harry Belafonte, definitely heavy.
But that's not the
soundtrack.
end of the scene, end of the movie, because we go back to Beetlejuice, and
Yes.
Beetlejuice is waiting in the social worker's office.
Yes, he's now back in the underworld. Now he's waiting for his turn.
I don't understand that either, because I thought he was just banished back to the model.
I think he's trying to get help. I think he's trying to figure out like, okay, how do I not have to live in this model anymore?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So, yeah.
Spoilers: he gets his head shrunken.
He gets his head shrunken. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, that's the movie.
Yeah. So that's the movie. It's really fun. I felt like it definitely held up. It's very nostalgic for me. I love watching this movie. I know all the music and the soundtrack and I love this movie.
Yeah, I liked the movie. I didn't think it was going to hold up, but it does hold up. It's so silly and goofy that it's not scary, even though like some of the imagery is very scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's like eyeballs and stretched faces,
yes,
and big
some
mouths,
blood
and flayed people, and slit wrists, and
Yeah.
people that caught on fire.
Yeah, because when Barbara and Adam go to the underworld, they meet other dead people, and
Yeah.
so they see people who have died of various causes.
Yeah, but it's not scary. I think
Not scary at all.
it has a lot to do
fun.
with the music.
Yes.
Because none of it's
very
played for
lighthearted
fear or what's the word, tension.
Drama. Yeah. There's not really any drama. It's more like adventurous.
Yeah, it's very silly. It's very goofy. It doesn't take
But it's
itself
not dumb.
too seriously.
Yeah.
Some of it's dumb.
I disagree. None of it is dumb. I
And
love this movie.
if you really think about like what's going on, it either doesn't make sense, or they would have some kind of otherworldly explanation for why it does make sense. But don't try and piece the pieces together. They don't give you everything.
Yeah,
you know?
you can't dig into it too deeply. You just kind of have to take it for face value and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
So I think it held up.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it, especially since we're heading into spooky season, if you're looking for something fun but not scary. Also, the sequel is coming out. My question to you, Robert, did you feel like this movie really needed a sequel?
No.
I don't either.
I want to mention this, though. The movie is rated PG. What do you think about that?
I think a PG rating is appropriate.
You think so? Okay.
Yes. because there's a lot of inappropriate.
I thought PG might be too low. I
Jokes.
thought it might have deserved a PG-13.
Really?
Just because of the imagery.
Yeah, PG-13 probably.
Yeah, just because of the imagery.
Oh, I thought you meant it needed like an R rating.
No,
I don't think it needs an R rating. But
There's not a lot of blood or decapitations
I
or
think
anything.
by today's standards, it would probably be PG-13.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because I think back then they were like, kids can handle it, right? But yeah, I think PG-13 is probably where it would fall today.
Does this make you excited for the sequel?
No.
I think the sequel is going to be really bad.
Watching
Fingers crossed that it's good.
I really hope it's good because we know for a fact that Lydia Dietz is in it, right? She's in the trailer, Winona Ryder. I'm cautiously optimistic, but having rewatched the OG Beetlejuice, it's like the movie does not need a sequel.
It doesn't need a sequel, and I can't...
Like, what else could...
I think this movie was, like, accidentally good. Does that make sense to you?
It was like an accidental...
Like, all the pieces fell into place.
Yeah. And now it's a cult classic,
all the
right?
pieces fell into place somehow.
Yeah.
Not necessarily upon anybody's doing.
Yeah,
Tim Burton has had a bunch of misses, as far as I can remember.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the sequel. But I do think as a standalone movie, like this movie really tied everything up at the end. I don't know what new ground they could possibly cover. That's the thing that I think might not be great about the sequel is like, I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing some new ground. Like maybe they'll give us more lore about the underworld. Maybe we'll learn more about like that Beetlejuice universe. But otherwise, I just like...
That's not what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the fact that they're going to make it goofy and campy, just like the original, and it's just not going to hit in the same way.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not going to have that, like, endearing longevity that the original has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend it. I think it's really fun.
I would recommend it also. That's what we do. We recommend. We don't rate them.
No, we don't. We don't rate
Okay.
these.
Okay, it's unrated. Do you have anything else to say about 1988's Beetlejuice?
1988. No, I loved it. I loved it. Did you see it in the theater?
I don't remember. Maybe.
I distinctly remember going to see it in the theater. And then I remember my friend had a VHS of it and we constantly watched it. I feel like we wore that tape out.
Before we leave, I do want to mention some of the special effects are pretty rough.
A little rough.
Like the sand snakes and stuff like that. They just look bad.
Yeah, and some of the practical effects don't look so great.
Yeah, the green screens and whatnot. The stop motion. It just looks bad.
Yes. So keep that in mind. You're watching 1988 special effects.
Yeah, most of it looks good.
Yeah.
Most of it doesn't take you out of the movie, like the makeup and stuff like that.
It was very surprising.
But some of it just looks atrocious.
Yes. Yes.
There's a small bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. You're watching a movie with special effects from 1988.
Right.
But the heart of the movie, the soul of the movie, I think is still there, holds up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Should I take us out?
Robert, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Thanks for watching, Internet. You can follow the show on Twitter at @WhatElseShow. We're also on Instagram at TheWhatElseShow. Please like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. We're also on Twitch. Haven't been in a while, but we are on Twitch. If you like Beetlejuice, hate Beetlejuice, or are looking forward to the sequel, leave a comment. Anything Beetlejuice related. Bye, Internet.
Bye, Internet.
I can't normal. I'm so cool. I can't normal. Oh my God, I'm so random. I can't normal.
Shut up.